Hey, what's up, guys? Tuki here, back again with another episode of my Ottawa Senators franchise mode series right here on NHL 18. And today we actually get to start off with a little bit of optimism as opposed to the last episode where we were dealing with the Tampa loss, and we're still kind of dealing with the Tampa loss. It still sucks. I would have liked to have seen our team go that much further in the playoffs, but we rebounded with one hell of a draft, one of the better drafts I have seen all year, and now we're here at the beginning of free agency. We have some money to spend, we have some moves that we could potentially make, although for the most part, I think we are primarily focusing on acquiring some of the prospects that are available under the free agent list, including this guy Petrovic. I mean, all we can do is offer him the max deal and hope that he accepts our offer. That's all we can do. So there's no guarantee that we're going to end up with everybody. And in terms of who we already have on the roster, there you go. If you're playing Tuki Bingo, it took me about a minute to stumble over my words. So congratulations on your early lead in America's favorite home game. But in terms of who we have already on the roster, not sure who's staying, not sure who's going, especially with the new additions that we had through the draft. So this could be a busy episode in terms of moves that we are looking to make. We do have a couple of roster spots open already, so let's go ahead and take care of a couple of early offers. First and foremost, shall we? Including Petrovic. I mean, we don't need him, but why wouldn't we go for him? I mean, come on. And again, it's completely up in the air. All we can do is offer him the max entry-level deal, much like everybody else is doing, and we'll see what happens from there. There was the thought, though, of potentially going for Joseph Woll, just because he could end up progressing to being even better. I'm just not sure, though. I mean, we had John Gillies as our backup this past season. He was pretty good for the most part. Joseph Woll's numbers are pretty terrible. I mean, I'm not sure who he was, what team he was on, who he was playing for, so maybe he had a bad defense in front of him. That's really the question, is do we want to give Joseph Woll a chance? But for the most part, that type of signing would just be, oh, well, if he doesn't work out, we trade him, and hey, at least he has a ton of value. So that signing would almost be a trade for the sake of a trade, you know? Although I am, as I mentioned, interested in Gauthier and Talixon. So actually, let me double check the goaltending situation here. Obviously, we have Gillies, Boston Balous, Shesterkin as well. But let's take a look here at whether or not a high fringe is worth it, or even a medium fringe, just to go ahead and sign them. So we have Shesterkin and Gillies, which I'm good with. Kadri and Balous, who's a 74 overall at 21 years old. I mean, we still need to sign one more goaltender, so the medium elite's there. You know, I don't think that I'm going to have anybody else other than Gillies as the backup. So I'm going to send out one more offer just in case we do not get Petrovic. And that way there's a bit of a safety net in making sure that we still get somebody half decent as a fifth goaltender next season. Although, I mean, it is, a 74 and a 71. Petrovic's nice. I mean, Talixon or Gauthier? That is the question. I mean, granted, Gauthier, he would be one hell of a 1-2 punch with Kadri. Or we go with Talixon just out of intrigue of a high fringe starter. I think I'm going to go for Talixon, because I don't want to have to sit there and constantly switch Kadri and Gauthier as the starters. So let's go ahead and send out an offer to Talixon as well, and we'll see if either signs. We might get both. If we do, then one might be moved or someone's just going to sit on the roster. Godfrey is absolutely another guy that we're going to go after. A 6'4" two-way defenseman. Only one of the team is apparently interested right now. We're going to have to duel with Dallas to get him. And in terms of the low top four potentials, there's a couple of interesting guys. Cameron Crotty is there as well. Crotty? I never quite know. And then this Carlson guy, I mean, he's a 65 at 20 years old. Henrik Carlson. I think we're going to hold off from there, though. And in terms of the big signings, obviously Hampus Lindholm is there. We don't exactly need him now, do we? And hopefully Christian Melanin gets a big money deal. He deserves it, but he was never going to get it with us. As far as a right wing, who do we have? John Hayden, Hudson Fasching. No one there, really. I mean, I might want to rework the bottom six, particularly that fourth line, but I am going to wait to see what kind of progression we get from players already on our club. So we have Altai by Markey in there, close enough at least. Tervainen, Ludman. Tervainen might actually be an interesting one. I mean, he's same age as Lidman. I don't know, some people are like, oh, you actually pronounce it Ludman. But I remember Tony Lidman, and people just said Lidman because America. So yeah, I think I'm going to go for Tervainen. Like, Altabarmakian might get a little bit better. Tervainen might be an interesting one. Let me just double check here, though. Left wings. Lawson. Well, that's something. Do we have any normal forwards? Klim Kostin. He's an RFA, though, and I'm definitely not going to be willing to pay that price. And at center, Jake Gensel made it up to an 87. $7 million a year. Good luck, whoever signs him. It's not going to be me. So forward-wise, let's see. We've already sent out 3 offers. We are going to go for Lawson here. Again, same thing, max offer. We'll see if we get him. From there were the 2 interesting options of Paling and Norris. Both of whom I'm intrigued by, but both of whom I'm not going to go after. I don't like to use players at the same time in the same series. I made the exception with John Gillies out of necessity, really. But we have used Paling and Norris in both of them in the USA series. So I am going to hold off, and I think we will target Tervainen here. Teemu Tervainen. He's a grinder as well, so interesting potential for a grinder. But we'll send him an offer as well. We're up to 5 contracts out. That would bring us up to 48. So let's go ahead and move forward. I am good with that. If we end up with 3 out of 5, that'll work for me. Of course, we don't really have the room for any big money deals. We are absolutely... How old is TJ Oshie at this point? We are absolutely not trading for TJ Oshie. You are insane. What are you thinking? I mean, granted, the AI set up the trade block, so it makes sense that we'd get an offer for TJ Oshie, I guess. We're, contenders and such, and we might need a veteran that we want to add to the team. No. And Petrovic. Petrovic goes to San Jose. Looking for a team which has a better mix of players from where I'm from. Right. Okay, I think that's the first time I've ever seen that. Petrovic goes to San Jose. Talixon, the high fringe, did sign, so that's our 5th goaltender. Lawson has signed. 2 more, Godfrey and Tervainen. Not bad. So the only guy we missed out on was arguably the best of the bunch, that being the medium elite goaltender, as he goes off to the San Jose Sharks, which there's something ironic about the Sens missing out on a player because they went to the San Jose Sharks. But we don't have to talk about it. We don't have to talk about it, do we? That's okay. So let's go ahead. We will sim to the preseason. I am intrigued to see what kind of player development we end up getting. Of course, whether it's certain guys like... I can't even think of who our prospects are. We have numerous prospects. Ty Smith is the guy I was trying to think of, but for some reason, I couldn't think of his name, and it was awful. So, Ty, I'm sorry. But obviously, in the postseason, we dealt with injuries on the defensive side of things after moving away some players, and I don't know. I'm intrigued to see what happens. We did all right, though, in the postseason, despite having to deal with those injuries. I mean, we still made it to the second. I mean, we almost beat Tampa. Almost, but almost doesn't count, as they say. Regardless, I've killed enough time. Let's go ahead and take a look at some of the overalls and progression that we may have seen. So Shesterkin's an 89, Gillies is an 82. That I'm good with. And case in point, Kadri's up to a 77, so he still would have been below Gauthier, so I would have had to constantly switch them back and forth. Boston Belouse being up to a 76, though, is quite surprising. So that is a pretty good set of goaltenders there, especially for an AHL level team. So that I'm happy with. We don't have to worry about goaltending. Defense, though, we might have to worry about a little bit. We can send down Shea and Stillman. Has anybody else really progressed? Ian Reagan has progressed. Right. So as you could assume, we're going to have to make a move defensively unless I wanted to play McIsaac and Reagan down in the minors for this season, which, to be honest, would not be the worst idea. But the morale system off. You just have to wonder, though, and it seems to be random. Someone like Ian Reagan, we could play him down in the AHL. He's 20 years old. But is that going to hurt his development? He'll be playing outside of his role. Sometimes it seems to hurt. Other times it doesn't seem to matter. So that could be one of the big decisions there that we were to make. I mean, if we were to make that decision, Dobson, Smith, Shabbat, Carlson, Yossi, Carlson, I mean, that would be one hell of a defense. And down in the AHL, you still have Shea, Stillman, Lajoie, Sandin, Moss, and Godfrey, which, again, is a tremendous defense. We just had to bring in a little bit of depth. And actually, in fairness, 2 people would have to sit. And it would probably be... I'd probably call up Shea as the healthy scratch, and maybe even... Actually, maybe just call up Stillman and Lajoie as the healthy scratches. I don't know. We'll have to figure that out. Let me take a look at the forwards here. Zach Smith is down to a 77. Kotkaniemi, Carl, Krebs, Ronning, Vauclair. Yeah, we have to figure this out here, don't we? Heiskanen's up to an 84. Good Lord. Former 5th-round pick of the Coyotes. 93 offensive awareness. I feel like we made a good call on targeting him. Barrett Hayton's there. Yep, we have some decision-making, don't we? So let's go ahead and figure this out. So bottom 6 players I'm going to drop down to the AHL, and we are going to call up anybody who would be considered for top 6. I think based off of defense, I'd still consider Carl and Krebs more defensive. Ty Ronning, of course, would be one of those top 6 kind of guys, and Vauclair would be a bottom 6 type of player, and then from there it was just lower level guys. Kravtsov as well. Kind of looks like he's hit his peak. He is someone that could technically play a top 6 minutes and I think would do all right. But obviously for the players that we already have, that's not going to happen. So let's take a look. So we have 12 players here. Only 6 of them can stay. Unless we wanted to have the 3rd line also be somewhat offensively oriented and have the 4th line be more of our defensive grind line, in which case, I mean, I think that's going to come down to Carl, Krebs, and Vauclair. I mean, those would be the 3. Paul, Craig Smith, Zach Smith, I think they'd be on the way out. So we could do that if we wanted to have 3 offensive lines just for the sake of keeping some more players than we would be able to otherwise. And, I mean, if we look at this, offensively... I mean, the puck skills goes to Kravtsov. The offensive awareness goes to Kravtsov. I'd give the shooting and the skating to Ty Ronning, though. So, as it is, like, Ronning and Kravtsov are both about even. I'd give that spot to Ronning, though, based on just needing to send down Kravtsov. Can we cut this down to 9 players? Is my question. And I find that it's going to be difficult to do so. Because if you think about it, actually, here, let's go into edit lines. Let's just go best lines for the moment, and then scratch Ian Reagan. So this is what we're dealing with. Again, at the very least, we need to cut out 2 other players. But when you talk about how effective this top 6 has been, I feel like their spots are kind of secured, which means, again, we have to get rid of 2 players from here. And in my opinion, it would be Fiala and Ronning. Go with the youth of Hayton, Kotkaniemi, and Heiskanen. And neither of the 3 seem to be terrible at defense. And that's kind of, that'd be Ty Ronning's one thing. Like, he's not going to, take anybody's spot in that top 6. So I think Ty Ronning's time here is finally over. We kept him as a depth guy for the last postseason run. It's time for him to go. And then Kevin Fiala, 30 points, 40 points. He had 9 points in 13 games in the last postseason. He actually did really well. But I don't think you could justify keeping him over anybody else. It would be him or Jost, really. And Jost is capable of the same thing and has shown that he's capable of more. So I think the easy decision is Fiala and Ronning are on their way out. I kind of hate, of course, that I don't have a righty, but say we wanted to go Kotkaniemi, Hayton, and Heiskanen as more of an offensive-based 3rd line as well. And the 4th line, like I said, is pretty much confirmed already as far as what we're looking at here. So Fiala and Ronning are gone, especially with how much money they're making. Carl, Krebs, and Vauclair. Vauclair might not be the best option. He's well-rounded. The offensive awareness is a bit low, but I think he's someone that we could give a chance to at the beginning of the season here. And then if it doesn't work out, we can just acquire someone else and potentially send him down. He's not waiver eligible from the looks of it. I mean, someone like Kevin Fiala, with how much money he's making, it's time for him to go. I mean, we could technically play him on the fourth line, which would be a little bit ridiculous. I mean, obviously the defensive stats are there for him to be, that shutdown kind of guy while still contributing some offense. The physicality isn't there. Craig Smith, of course, we acquired last year. Nick Paul's been great for us, really, in that fourth line role. But we have such limited spots right now. I mean, especially, too, if we want to make sure that some of our younger guys actually get some ice time, meaning Heiskanen, Hayton, and Kotkaniemi. So, again, if we look here, Vauclair can play center, can he not? He's slightly worse than Krebs, but say Krebs, Vauclair, Carl as the fourth line. Krebs isn't the most physical, but he's really solid defensively. So instead of this being the third line, and then again the fourth line being, I don't know, probably some combination of Nick Paul and whoever else is more of a physical team, I feel like this isn't a bad way to go. I'm a little bit worried about not having the kind of typical fourth line grind line, but I still feel like we could do really well with a team like this. And maybe it's not so overboard that we wouldn't have a proper balance to the team. Again, close to 20 points for the fourth line, 30 for the third, 30 to 40 for the second line, and I mean, I would measure my expectations finally. You'd like to see the top line get to at least 50 or 60. Obviously, in a perfect world, they'd all be close to top line players, or not top line players, but point of game players, like Nikita Gusev was last year. But obviously, when you have some of the members of the defense that we do, the points are going to be hard to come by, or a little bit harder to come by. Of course, it's going to be more of a spread. So, I think that's the way to go. I'll have to change up some of the position types just so I can go best lines without it, not having that proper balance. And then defensively, I mean, I would stick to the idea of the two Carlsons and Yossi all being separated. So the thought of Smith and Carlson, Yossi, Dobson, Shabbat, and Erik Karlsson seems great to me. Again, is Ty Smith going to suffer from not being in his proper role? Perhaps. The alternative here is we more than likely, I mean, I'd probably want to keep Ty Smith, so you could argue that either Shabbat or Yossi gets traded, John Carlson gets traded, and we bring in Reagan and McIsaac, although they are both lefties, and I try to have 3 lefties, 3 righties, so I'd probably keep Reagan over McIsaac. But just to take a look here, let me send down Reagan and McIsaac to the AHL, and we'll see what it looks like from there. I'm just trying to give you guys a look, because I do want your opinion on what do we do, with these changes, and whether or not you think we're making, or whether or not you think I'm proposing the right moves that could lead this team to success this season. But, I mean, if we take a look here, so Shea, I think I would call up. That would get Benton Moss back into the lineup. Another player who's also being used in both series right now, although I don't think he's going to be an impact player for either. I want to get Godfrey into the lineup. So let's see. What could we do here? I'd probably, let's just say I were to ditch Lajoie, because I don't think he's going to get much better than that. I could look to bring in another righty. Maybe, I don't know, this is a tough one, actually, as far as balancing out players who might get a little bit better or just using the best players possible. But something like this might not be terrible. Mark Godfrey was a huge signing for us. And then defensively, Taylor Kadri's there, Boston Belouse. We would move Kevin Fiala and probably Ty Ronning. We could keep Nick Paul just down in the AHL. Just in case, something goes poorly with that fourth line, he could be a call-up. Zach Smith, with what he's getting paid, we could keep him as well, but obviously he's declining in skill level. And then Craig Smith. Let me take a look at the contract situation as well. Because, someone like Zach Smith or Craig Smith might be worth keeping down in the AHL. Kevin Fiala, not so much. He's making $5 million. What am I doing contracts? So I was going to go to trades and look at it from there, but still, we can take a look here. $9 million available. Barzal's contract is going to be up at the end of the year. He's going to be an RFA. Let me take a look at expiring. Barzal, Carlson, Jost, White, Dobson. Okay, so some big deals coming up. I think we'd still be able to manage it, though. How much money do we have going into next season? $34 million. And the only player, the majority of the players as well are RFAs. Aside from John Carlson. Could easily move Kevin Fiala, no problem. We are in a very good spot right now where we can continue to be competitive. We just have to make the right moves for the team. And like I said, I still feel like we're in a very... I still feel like we're in a good spot if the lines are set up 3 skill and 1 defensive, as opposed to 2 skill, 1 defensive, and 1 physical. Draft pick situation... We're just missing our 5th and 6th from this year. Of course, we made a couple of extra moves in the last episode. Langlois, whatever the hell it is, Tanev and Ilanen, all unsigned at the moment. Taylor Kadri. I feel like we're fine. I'm still intrigued as to whether or not, I'm not going to say his name again, whether or not he's ever going to improve to a good enough level. Same with Ilanen, who could easily be moved if we wanted to make a big-time move, but we don't really have to, do we? We are pretty well set up. Not to mention, oh god, I forgot about Colton. He's an 81 as well. I could leave him unsigned. I could. He is a defensive defenseman in every way. We could technically leave him unsigned, and I think he would still progress. Damn. What do we want to do here? So many decisions, actually. Of course, Gonchar's there. Rhodes could be signed as well, just to give him a chance to try and develop. Markstrom, is he NHL ready? He's not. Although, he's close. Skating's a little bit mad, but the offensive awareness, the defense, Jesper Markstrom's getting really close to being NHL ready. This team is in such a good spot. We were in a good spot when we lost to Tampa. We're in an even better spot now, and we haven't lost anybody. We're still playing from a position of power where we have assets that we can make moves with. And because of that, and because of the players that we don't currently have signed, we still have to do something. I'd probably want... Like I said, we could leave them unsigned, and they would still technically progress, but, for their age, it would be better if they were playing regularly. Lop, Peltonen, and Kaltanen probably... all should be signed, and at the very least playing at the AHL level to try and make the most of their progression. Same with a couple of these other guys as well. So we have to make moves. So let's go ahead. At the very least, Fiala and Ronning, we know are out the door. I don't really see a world where we could keep them. Like I said, we could keep Kevin Fiala on the 4th line. Maybe drop Vauclair down to the AHL. But I don't really see... I don't think that's going to help that much. And we have to get rid of him. There's a very good chance I wouldn't be able to afford him next season. So I'd rather get something for him now. I think... then again, I don't know. We could keep him. And we could keep Ty Ronning as a healthy scratch if we really wanted to. We have so many options, and it's sickening. We have to get rid of some players, though, to sign those guys, don't we? Or do we just want to leave the 20-year-olds as unsigned players just to see how well they progress without being signed? Probably not the smartest move, admittedly. Someone like Borgqvist could be moved, not Borgstrom. I love having this problem. It's a problem, but it's a great problem to have, Right. What do we want to do here? So I still think I like the idea of potentially playing Kaltonen, Reagan, and McIsaac down in the AHL. Kaltonen's a righty, though. So we could easily have the defense be Erik Karlsson on the right, alongside Kaltonen on the right. And don't we have another righty? We do, Noah Dobson. So it could be Erik Karlsson, Dobson, and Kaltonen for our right side defenseman. On the left, it could be Shabbat, Smith, and Reagan. I think McIsaac would be the odd man out there. And we could trade Yossi and Karlsson and free up a boatload of money. But who the hell would we trade them for? You see the ridiculous amount of options that we have here. And yeah, trading Yossi and Karlsson makes us worse on paper, but it's not like the replacements that we have coming in for them are scrubs. And then it would be the issue of what the hell do we do with Yossi and Karlsson? So I guess defensively, our big question is, what do we want to do with Kaltonen and Reagan? Do we want them to play at the NHL level, or do we play them at the AHL level so that Yossi and Karlsson can stay? It's not even that Yossi and Karlsson would have to be the ones traded. We could move a Shabbat or a Smith. I kind of want to keep Thomas Shabbat, though, for obvious reasons. So many options. I am intrigued, though, just for the hell of it. Who could we possibly... Like, what prospect is out there with near full trade value, aside from Clayton Keller? Okay, we do not have space for Clayton Keller. Oh my god, this guy, though. Kurt Dawes. Jesus, did he play last year? He didn't. It's his rookie season. So, like, a Kurt Dawes or even a Clayton Keller would be possible, which is ridiculous. So, yeah, this is where we start to get into this ridiculous territory. If we wanted to, we could go out and acquire pretty much anybody using Yossi and John Karlsson. Pretty much anybody. And that's where it gets scary, and that's where things can go off the rails a little bit. So, I guess... I don't know, man. I don't know. What is the best option for this team moving forward in order to stay competitive, right? That is the goal at the end of the day. I'm not really worried about the salary cap situation. We're in a good spot, and it gets better the second that Kevin Fiala is traded. If he's even traded. Defensively, I don't think it's the worst thing in the world to play Kaltonen, Reagan, and McIsaac down in the AHL. I mean, we could talk about, moving certain players. Sandin might be worth keeping, even as a healthy scratch. I don't know, man. What do I want to do to keep this team competitive? Like I said, I do like the idea of playing Heiskanen, Hayton, and Kotkaniemi at the NHL level. Playing Kevin Fiala on the fourth line, I'm just not going to do. But leaving him as a healthy scratch, I'm not really worried about getting anything back for him, though. I'd be cool with having him as a healthy scratch. Are you kidding me? Having Kevin Fiala on this team that can step into the lineup in case of injury? That would be ridiculous. My one issue, though, is that we are so low on contract spots. I'm going to try something here. And the Belleville Sens would be so stupidly, ridiculously stacked that I can't imagine we'd be looking at another first-round exit. So let's go ahead. We are going to sign Pasi Kaltonen. We'll sign him to his entry-level deal. We're going to sign Peltonen as well. Medium top 4. He was 20, right? Yeah, he was. We're going to sign Peltonen as well. And from there, whether or not I want to sign Lop is a whole nother question, just because he's not that great. And as it is, I'm at 49 contract spots. I need to sign Markstrom. It is ridiculous how good this team's going to be. And I have arguably another 3 players that I want to sign. So who can I get rid of? If we're going off of the assumption that I'm keeping Kevin Fiala and Ty Ronning as healthy scratches, who can I get rid of? We'll start defensively. So again, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And 1, 2... So let's see, we have righty-lefty. Say we keep McIsaac. I think the trio of Stillman, Lajoie, and Shea are in a little bit of trouble. Not entirely sure. Peltonen's a righty. Okay, so again, I don't have to keep the 3 lefties, 3 righties. I like to, okay? I like to. It's call it what you will. It's preference, though. So we have Reagan and Peltonen, or Kaltonen. I keep confusing him with the other guy. Who else is a priority? Godfrey's a priority on the right. Peltonen's a priority on the right. And that's that. So I need 2 lefties. So we have lefty or righty-lefty. McIsaac is a lefty. And Sandin, right? So yeah, that could work. Reagan, Kaltonen. McIsaac, Peltonen, Sandin, and Lop. That could work. Or Godfrey, not Lop. So Benton Moss is in a little bit of trouble. He could stay as a healthy scratch. Lajoie, Stillman. Honestly, I think we're good now. It's ridiculous. The only guy that like I said, I wanted to sign, Olofsson and Rhodes. Let me take a look at the defense really quick. I'm sorry, okay? I know this is time consuming. You could kind of assume that's what this episode was going to be. Is that it was going to be a lot of just trying to work this out and showing you guys the ridiculous amount of options that we have here. But like I said, so we have our righty-lefty. We have lefty and righty and Godfrey, and then Sandin and Peltonen. So Benton Moss is going to be a healthy scratch. I think Lajoie and Stillman will also be healthy scratches, and Shea will be the healthy scratch on the main roster. So let me get one more look at what this defense is going to be down in the AHL. So it's Reagan and Kaltonen, McIsaac will keep Sandin, Lajoie will be a healthy scratch for Godfrey, and Stillman will be a healthy scratch for Peltonen. Again, Murray's not ours, he's signed to the AHL team. So our healthy scratches at this level are Moss, Stillman, and Lajoie. And, I mean, we have a stupidly, ridiculously good AHL defense featuring three guys who should probably be at the NHL level. Look at that top pairing. That is disgusting. That is so good. Like, they would rip the AHL to shreds. And then forward-wise, I still think maybe the idea, because we have those two call-up spots, Fiala and Ronning as healthy scratches. And then, what else could we do? So I think, for example, someone like Craig Smith is probably on his way out. I don't need to fix over the defense again. You guys already got to look at what I was explaining. So who do we have? Theodore should probably be in the lineup. So I think I'm all right with keeping Paul, but maybe get rid of Zach Smith and Craig Smith. Craig Smith didn't do that well on the fourth line from what I'm remembering. 17 points, he was a -2. And of course, Zach Smith, longtime member of this team, but let's say we wanted to get Jack Alcock into the lineup for him. We'll take out Craig Smith for Theodore, and then of course, not to mention, there are other players I'm intrigued at potentially trading away. We also need to get Tommy Lawson into this lineup. So Noah Gregor is 24 years old. He's not really going to improve by that much more. Bastion's also 24. So it's kind of these guys right here that could be moved out, or at least stay on as healthy scratches. So I think that's the move. Trade the Smiths. Although I'd love to keep Zach Smith as like AHL captain, we just simply don't have the space for him. I mean, we do, but it'd have to be someone like Bjorkqvist traded away. So Craig Smith, for sure, is going to be on his way out. We'll get a little bit something back for him. From there, like I said, if I can see the unsigned players again, who did we have? Olofsson I'm not as worried about, but Rhodes I definitely want to sign. So maybe I also just trade away Olofsson here so that he's out of my he's out of my thoughts, I suppose. I mean, he's just why wouldn't he be in your thoughts though? Thomas Olofsson, right? He was a good pickup though. This would open up space for us to sign Rhodes. And we'd still be at 50 contracts and still be just absolutely loaded up with talent. So where can I trade Craig Smith? Tampa, I mean, preferably not. St. Louis, can you afford to take on this deal? You can't even afford to sign Klim Kostin, so probably not. The San Jose second, how about 2 second-round picks? That'd be a hell of a haul for us. A bit too much for you, though. How about the San Jose second and your third? I will take it. We probably could have gotten a little bit more back for it. I'm certainly not worried about it. Let's go ahead and sign Rhodes. And I think we have the answer here. At least one of the possible solutions to having just an unbelievable team that could very well win a championship at both levels. So we'll sign Rhodes. We'll leave Lop unsigned for the moment, just because we don't have a spot for him. I mean, the potential as well. I'm not really worried about developing medium top 6 defensemen at this point. It's kind of medium top 4 or bust. So let's get a full look now at what this team could be. And I am excited because this team could do amazing things. So at the NHL level, again, Shea, Ronning, and Fiala as the healthy scratches, which seems insane. But again, I don't really want to send down anybody on that third line. I want to see if they can succeed, and that defense is just disgusting. And then down in the AHL, I am actually going to fix this up again really quickly. Let's bring in Godfrey. Let's bring in Peltonen. So again, 3 very, very good defensemen as healthy scratches that could honestly improve this team. Like, if they're struggling, I wouldn't necessarily be afraid to scratch Peltonen. Maybe towards the playoffs, just to make sure that this team found success. And then offensively, do I want to focus on the lower overall guys or the older guys? I think I'd rather focus on the older guys. Someone like Alex Formenton, it's not looking too likely that he's actually going to develop. And seeing as he's the lower overall, we'll take him out first. And we'll put in Lawson, someone who could develop. And then from there, let's look at taking out Bjorkqvist. And we could actually bring in Zach Smith. Have him be the captain of the team. We'll bring in Rhodes. Rhodes is a little bit more risky. I don't really feel like he's going to develop. He's really not. Maybe I shouldn't have signed him. I don't really think he's going to develop. And that could leave Bastion in, or at the very least, bring back Gregor or Bjorkqvist. So you can just see how ridiculous this team is going to be. Someone like Al Cox is 73 at 22. Theodore is 21, also a 73. That's what I'm intrigued by, is the potential to just have this team be the best team possible, or to develop some talent. So let's just say we take out Formenton and Theodore. I mean, this team would just be so ridiculously stacked. It wouldn't even be fair. I would have to play a couple. We have like all lefties, so I don't really think it would matter. I mean, I guess what we would be looking at is something similar to. I mean, I'm just kind of making up this lineup as I go. Who should be on that line? I guess we put. I mean, something similar to this, really, is what I would go with. And I mean, this team is so stupidly stacked. Like I said, so as far as offensive scratches, it would be Rhodes, Theodore, and Alcock, who are 3 guys that we might want to look at developing, although I don't really feel like it's going to happen. It might be worth trading them. This team is stacked, and I am so tempted to sim until the first day of the season to see the grades. But I feel like that works. Why really get rid of anybody outside of Craig Smith when we can have an incredible amount of team depth to see how they do? So I think we're going to end it here. Let me know what you think about this strategy. For the NHL forwards, is it worth keeping Kevin Fiala and Ty Ronning as healthy scratches? Is it worth... should we trade them? Like, should Fiala be in the lineup, and if so, for who? I mean, I guess my vote would be Vauclair as opposed to Carl or Krebs, although Carl would make more sense. Maybe I'm just a little bit biased because we drafted him. But we could easily have a Vauclair, Krebs, and Fiala line. That wouldn't be an issue. Defensively, do we look to trade anybody to make room for some of those guys who are currently down in the AHL? Again, Yossi and Carlson could go for a blockbuster deal, but who would we want to bring back? Especially if it's a forward. I mean, who the hell would you take off of that top line? You know, that's another thing you really have to think about. Goaltending-wise, we're set, and then defensively down in the AHL, I mean, we're just stacked. It's a matter of whether or not we move anybody. And in terms of the AHL, do I focus on trying to develop those players? Do we look to scratch guys like Zach Smith and Nick Paul and have them be healthy scratches in the meantime? So let me know what you think, but needless to say, this team is in the best shape it has ever been in, and I would hope that we are able to jump that hurdle next season. We lost to Tampa, but I have a feeling if there was a rematch, we might have a better chance this year. Let me know what you think, though. Next episode, we'll make any changes that we might have to make. At the very least, we'll get into the sim. And from there, who knows? I mean, it could be an entire season sim done in one episode. Maybe there's moves we have to make closer to the deadline. Time will tell. So for now, I thank you very much for watching this. This episode, admittedly, might not have been for everybody. This is one of those great background noise episodes, or it's a great episode for anyone who is kind of into team building as much as I am. And of course, like I said, I'm putting it up to you. The ball is in your court. Let me know what you would do in this situation. If you enjoyed the episode, do all the things all great YouTubers tell you to do. Leave a like, comment, subscribe, share, ring the bell, do all the things. Links are in the description to my Twitter and Twitch. Give me a follow on both of those platforms if you haven't already. And the new emotes on Twitch are live, and they are the best emotes on Twitch, bar none. So hey, there's a perk maybe to subbing on Twitch. Just saying. He's begging for money now. What a sellout. He has a SeatGeek advert. Now he's begging for Twitch subs. What a guy. Hashtag sellout24. Thank you guys for watching. I love you all. And I'll see you next time. Hopefully. I don't know. Like I said, maybe you're just like, nope, this is the cutoff point. He's a sellout. I'm out of here. And if that's the case, well, hey, it's good knowing you.